My friendship with Howard really started through Ralph. Ralph and I were buddies at K-Rock, and, I was the night guy.
I got to be honest. Wait, I didn't know Ralph had other friends. I'm shocked.
Yes, I'm one of Ralph's few friends.
Were you around when he met Beth? Or did you see that happen in unfolding?
I literally was right there the second it happened.
You mentioned J-Lo because you were dating Linda, famously, her sister.
I'd like to announce that we're now back together after 10 years.
Is that true?
But Ralph and I just started palling around. I'd start dragging him to the station shows and stuff, and he would always be around for everything. And, we're 20 some years younger. So we were all over New York, and we were having the time of our lives. And he was a part of that show. And I think at one point, we went to some movie or something. I want to say it was a Batman movie, one of the terrible Batmans, something like that. And Ralph's like, "Oh, Howard's got a screening somewhere. You should come." And I'm like, "Okay." And Howard had put me on the air, but it was really kind of the first time just getting to hang out and, get to know Howard a little bit, off the air. And he's the sweetest man you'll ever meet in your life. I mean, he's just, he's lovely. He's attentive, and he seems to care. And, after 2 minutes of hanging out with him, you forget he's Howard Stern. But, he's just a nice guy. And it was an awesome time, to be, 25. And, I'm palling around with the greatest that's ever done it in my field of expertise. Let's air quote that, in my field of profession, radio. So that was pretty wild. So, but that also sets the bar for you. I think that, some of the things that he does or the way he handles himself, I think rubbed off, and maybe that's a key to, maybe that has something to do with my longevity. I don't know, but he's great, and he teaches a lot of great lessons. But he's been an awesome friend. He's just been really, all these years. I'm sitting here looking at my cat. I got my cat because of them. He's a great guy, and it was fun. There was nothing better than those days when Howard got single, and we started, going out. I think that's probably why we're still friends, because there was just such a little circle of us. They were a really tight-knit group, and we kind of did everything, and we just ran around constantly like dickheads, and it was fun. It was just fun.
What did you see? Tell us. No, I don't want to get that deep, but I assume as a it wasn't like having the old guy and the young crew. It was probably like, this is like what it's like to be an entourage. This is like having...
Yeah. That's a great way to put it. It was like being an entourage with the movie star. And Howard can't exactly hide himself. He's 6'6", So when we're walking through rooms in New York City, bars and restaurants and such, they're just rooms, They're not like, we weren't in big clubs walking through. We weren't club people. We were more of like, go to restaurants and such. So he stands out. And back in those days, I know this sounds ancient, but this is pre-internet. Howard was like a mythical legend at this point. This was a guy that had, 30 shares on the radio, and no one had ever really seen him out. So when people would go out, they would lose their fucking mind. I mean, they would just run up to him. They'd start screaming. It was like being with a fucking Beatle or something. It was the weirdest thing. But he was always super sweet about it, and I think he got it, but it was crazy. Excuse me. It was crazy.
Were you around when he met Beth? Or did you see that happen in unfolding?
I literally was right there the second it happened. They were at a dinner, Mercer Kitchen. They were at a dinner at Mercer Kitchen. One of those things where Howard said, "Hey, we're going to go out tonight. I'm having dinner downtown." I think I was on the air, and he said, "Just come down afterwards." And I came down afterwards, and the place is cool because it's like this downstairs, super dark. It's like a cave. It's a cool spot. And after dinner, everybody was excited. We sort of had the back of the restaurant, and everybody was just sort of mulling around. And I got to talking to Beth a little bit because she's from Pittsburgh, and I'm from that area. And so we were talking, Polish, Pittsburgh and that, talking that language and, just having fun. And I do recall some girl, there was a girl that I worked with at MTV who always blew me off, by the way. I saw her coming down the stairs and she was really hot. She was super hot. And she started coming towards us and I could see she had her sights set on Howard. And she came over, she sees me oh, hey, like we're fucking friends. Meanwhile, she blows me off all the time.
Ananda Lewis, I'm going with.
No, okay. It wasn't a VJ. It was someone that worked in the office. It was just this hot chick.
I thought she was into me. I did an interview with her, and I thought, I could get her. And everyone's like, Brad, she's acting.
You can't get Ananda Lewis.
Thank you, Booker.
I'm looking at you. You cannot get Ananda Lewis.
Maybe back then. I look way worse now.
No.
I get
sweet.
Gotcha. Got it. Thank you. I'm not a football player. I got it.
I'm just kidding. She had said something to Howard about his eyes, and Beth hadn't spoken with Howard yet. So I was as I usually was, on the wing of a Stern, always kind of playing defense of who the fuck's going to run up to him. And I'm speaking with Beth, and we're just talking. And the girl comes up, oh, hey, goes by me, starts talking to Howard. And I remember her saying, you have the most beautiful eyes. And I'm like, oh God, I'm going to fucking puke. And I said to Beth, I said, hey, can you cut in between these two girls and say, you have the most beautiful eyes? And she goes, sure. She just kind of looks up, and Beth is she's stunning and she's tall, and she kind of gets between, the girl, and she looks at Howard. She goes, you have the most beautiful eyes. And he's like, really? I'm like, a girl just said this to you. He didn't even fucking get it. But I literally was there the second they met. Yeah.
What? How was it?
Then we went out.
I was going to say, who's that crew? It's you, Ralph, Wayne Siegel? Was he part of I always heard that name.
Wayne. I can't believe you know Wayne.
It's the name from that era I'm thinking of.
Yeah, Wayne's a great dude. He's a great guy. I still speak with Wayne every now and again. I think he got me a car, as a matter of fact. Wayne's a good dude. No, I don't even remember. I think it was one of those I just showed up to, and Howard was at a fancy dinner this was not my level dinner. I'm like the lower rung friend because this seemed like a bunch of rich people and a bunch of there's like a mob, right? Like Beth's there. It's probably somebody Howard knows and a couple of, socialite types that are kind of a big deal. I was not a big deal. I'm like, I snuck into this basically. I wasn't there even for dinner. I was there for drinks. So we could go to the bar. I think we went to it was like a club after that. And we show up at the club like at 9:00. I'm like, he's like, let's go to a club. I'm like, it's fucking 9:00. There's not going to be anybody here. We're going to be the only people in there. And we kind of were. But then it starts to populate throughout the night. And I remember Howard with Beth the whole night. And they were talking up in the corner and just getting on great. And I do. Ralph, I was with Ralph for sure. It must have just been me and Ralph and Howard. And I think Beth came, and seemed like there was a few other people in the car, but I don't recall who they were. I do remember hanging out with Ralph. And then Howard came over to us. And I still remember Ralph saying, hey, don't go falling in love, dummy. You're going to ruin our great time. Because every door in the city was open for us. There was no place we couldn't go. We're like, we got Howard. Hey, we could come in, right? Without him, we weren't getting anywhere. Nowhere. But
yeah, I mean, your turtle. I mean, it's just the greatest stories ever. It sounds like the most fun. That was like a 2-year period, right? 2 or 3.
Oh, no, I don't believe it was that long. Maybe it was for him. I was, like I said, I was more of a tag along in those situations, but he'll tell some stories. Like he told a story the other day, a friend was telling me, and I was like, no, he told the story completely wrong, about me trying to get J-Lo to his apartment or something. Like he has 2 stories. There's 2 specific different stories that he's made one story. He's famous for that. But the story he was trying to tell didn't even happen the way that it happened. But there's a lot of, and there's a lot of, he's a showman. I'm going to make the best version of this story for the air as well.
I still do that. I'm not even a showman, but I do that. I make stories up that you have to embellish. You mentioned J-Lo because you were dating Linda, famously, her sister.
Yeah. I'd like to announce that we're now back together after 10 years.
Is that true?
No. I just can't believe Ben and Jen are back together. That's what.
Oh, right. So just tell us a little bit about having Howard talk about that relationship on the air. Was that difficult? Because there was a point where he's even saying, "Oh, Linda, Mom doesn't even like you. You weren't
That's
even."
true. She did not.
Oh, that is true. Okay. See, I thought that might be radio embellishment.
No, I mean it was. Look, when your other daughter's dating Ben Affleck, and then the younger daughter's dating Chris Booker, you can see who she's going to like better. I don't blame her. I'm with her. I like Ben Affleck better.
What was those days like being around all that though? I mean, did you get to be around that kind of
Oh yeah, I mean, she was my girlfriend for 5 years, I think. So I saw, I was there for Chris Judd. I was there for Mark Anthony. I was there for Ben Affleck. I went through, I was, Lynn and I dated for a long time. It was fun though. I mean, we were young and crazy and impetuous, and we had the time of our life. That was a fun relationship. Lynn and I were kind of equals in our career and what we did. I met Lynn when she was working on a show with Kane on VH1. They were doing some sort of afternoon show, or maybe it was a morning show. I don't remember, but that's when I'd met Linda. And I knew Linda just from the radio, just from listening to her when she was on LIR and then on KTU. She was doing 10 to 2 at night on KTU when I was doing 10 to 2 at night on KTU. And then I just gotten on to MTV2. So we essentially had the same career going on. We were both in New York doing night radio. We both had gigs on VH1, MTV. So we were doing the exact same thing. We were already in the same circle constantly. And I guess just those days were so fun. Like if Howard was doing a show in Vegas, it'd be like we would all look at each other. We wouldn't even ask Howard. We'd just say, hey, we're all going to Vegas. Like, we're going. Even if we would see Howard or not, it didn't matter. We were like, this is a cool thing to do for a weekend. We never had a problem. That's when you know you're young. When you don't plan Vegas, you just say, Thursday night, 3 a.m, drunk out of your mind. Hey, Howard's in Vegas this weekend. Let's go. Okay. And then somehow the next day at noon, you put it together and you're in the air by, you're flying to get to Vegas to do what you do. And that's the kind of thing we always did. It was constant fun. It was constant trouble and stories, and just, it was just, quintessential being young. And yeah, seeing and having those two worlds. I should write a book about those two worlds. I mean, Ben and Jen were the biggest couple on the planet, and having a front row seat to watch all of that was wild. It was just wild. I'd never seen anything like that before. I don't know if the world will ever see anything like that again. It was insane. It was insanity. But
it's back, and I'm so sorry I missed that joke. That's really terrible on my part. But they're back. Maybe you can finally go to the wedding.
I don't think I'm going to be invited this time, but you never know. You never know. Yeah. Lynn and I are still great friends. I mean, we still get along great. And we had dinner, I don't know, maybe like 4 or 5 years ago, not even that long ago, maybe 3 or 4 years ago. And it's great when you see someone like that you were so close to and you kind of grew up with. It's almost like seeing a high school friend where you just pick right back up. It doesn't matter the crap that happened in between. Breakup doesn't matter. We're just friends now, and you just pick right back up into your old pace of conversation, and it's fun and it's nice, and you just remember all of the good times, and there were a lot of fun times.
I see you being as a +1. You mentioned that Vegas story. I was just thinking, because there's Cardinal stuff back. I was a Cardinal fan in 2004. Cardinals win the NLCS to go to the World Series on a Thursday night. They beat the Astros at home. Me and my buddy, we party, and we're in our early 20s at that point, and stuff shuts down, and we said, well, let's see if we can fly to Boston. We booked flights to Boston that night, 3 a.m, drunk, Expedia, popped it in, and we were in Boston by Saturday. And that's the kind of stuff you can't do now. But it's funny that that was my one Let's go to Boston. Let's go see the Cardinals play the World Series.
That is a young man's game. Yeah. What you just described and what I described, that is a young man's game. Now I'm like, people are like, do you want to go to Vegas for the weekend? I'm like, I don't know. I had a nap planned.
So let me wrap up the Howard stuff. You called in. You've been calling in. You got Beth's cat there, or an adopted cat, it looks like. So you guys are still very tight, I assume. Are you surprised that nothing really happened with you between like working at Howard 101? I mean, I know you're kind of an entertainment kind of radio music guy.
No. I think, I look, I don't have the talent. If I had the talent his pinky has, I would be, yes, but I don't. I think I do a lot of different things. I think he's just Howard. It's so big. And I think the people that he's put on his channel or on his channels when he had people on were the same, cut from the same cloth, meaning like Scott Farrell. Scott is so unique and so just fucking good, man. Hey, give me who the man? How can I be the man? We need the man. I love Scotty. Scotty's like the fucking best, but he's a complete unique, like one of the greatest talents. He just, and you know, seeing a Scott on that channel makes total sense to me. Bubba, same story. Bubba, I when I first got into radio, I used to have like radio cassettes. He used to work on the Power Pig in Tampa. And he was the night jock. That's how, you know, this is 30 some years ago. And, you know, he'd call kids fetuses and hang up on them and shit. And he was fucking hilarious. He just was, I never heard anybody behave that way on the radio. And I knew of Bubba before I knew of Howard, because Howard was already a morning guy by then. And I was more interested in what jocks were doing, what night guys were doing. And guys like Bubba. So Bubba was a complete original. I think I'm good at what I do, but I don't think I have that kind of, I'm a facilitator, put it that way. I don't think I have that kind of huge personality. I like music. I like talking with bands. I like, you know, I like celebrity gossip and pop culture. I'm a little all over the map, you know. I do like sports. I just like being able to do a lot of different things, but I would never put myself in that class. That's a different class.
You're doing interviews with people that Dave Grohl is a favorite of mine. I've followed his career for so long. I don't think I'll ever get a chance to do interviews with him. I think you've done 3 in the last 6 months.
Yeah, that's true. I have. Dave is one of the easiest because.
Let me ask you this: Is that
easy and Dave's hard?
Is that real, or I mean, is this I want to believe that this is all an act, and he's a real asshole. When you get away from the camera, I want to.
The sweetest. I know. No, he's a sweet guy. The problem with Dave, and I'll be honest, there is one definitive problem with Dave. When you have a time constraint, the other day we were doing something for his documentary, and they said you have 8 minutes. And I said, 8 minutes. I said 8 minutes with Dave Grohl is, hey, Dave, how are you? Interview's over, because he'll talk for the next 8 minutes. He's just a wind-up toy, and he goes. So he's great, but he's very talk. It's almost hard to get him in a box and pinned down, especially in this format, this fucking Zoom interview box thing. It's a little harder, you know, face to face. You can move people along with your eyes. It's just easier. This is a new way of doing things, but you know, he's great. He's just great.
Do you think he knows you, right? You know that he knows Booker, right? Is that?
Well, yeah, he knows who I am, but I don't know Dave. I've never drank with Dave, which is crazy to think because, well, no, we did. This was years ago. They did a show in New York. It was actually when I came back to K-Rock. They did Booker's Big Hairy Halloween Ball, which is the best name ever. Big Hairy Ball. They did that show and they performed at like the supper club, and we went upstairs and did some shots. But I guess we did drink a little bit that night, but nothing to the point where we've actually sat down and really started, you know, just to pull away the microphones and just start to get to know one another. I don't know Dave that well. There's a lot of artists you do get to know that well, but I don't know Dave that well. I wish I did. And it's weird because he lives like a mile from me too. He's like really close.
I think that's what I was thinking is he's sort of just managed and he just gets pushed. Okay, you're going to do this. He doesn't even know what he's doing. He's just going to start talking. Like you said, he might not even know that he's talking to you. He might call you Woody or something like that.
Yeah, I'm usually in the assembly line. I'm not to the level where they're like, hey, you're doing Booker today. It's nothing like that. But he sees me. He's like, oh, hey, dude. And he knows I ask good questions and I'm a good listener. And I, know what to follow up with. And I try to accomplish why he's there. If he's there to do a rock doc about about one of his 2 documentaries, I want to make sure that I know it and I achieve the goal of promoting it properly the way, he wants to represent himself in that box. But yeah, I don't waste his time doing the boxers a brief game or anything like that. We've got a more professional relationship with that.
That's Jimmy Fallon. Couple more minutes. Thank you again, Booker, for joining me this morning here. I wanted to ask you, when you did an ET Entertainment Tonight, you probably did a ton of the red carpet and all that. Do you have any odd memories, odd stories of celebrities where you walked away going, well, that was, I didn't realize anything that sticks out? Because I always find those fun where you walk away, you go, wow, that was bizarre.
It's trying to pick which story to tell you. They all were bizarre. I mean, actors in general are weird people. They just are. You learn that. When I got that job, I learned that very quickly, that they are special or different. Maybe, I don't know if special is the word, but different. They have something that I don't think you could put on. You're just naturally weird. There were some greats. There were some turds. I love Tom Cruise. I think he's the nicest guy in the industry. I've talked about him many times. He's one of those guys that has to make the connection with you, or he's not leaving. He's a performer. He's a showman. When he's standing in front of you with the microphone and he's there to promote his movie, you feel the respect because he understands, hey, man, you're here for me. You're here for my movie, my vessel. Now I'm going to be a professional and I'm going to give you what you want. We're going to stand here until we get that moment. And that's rare, because some people are like bothered to be doing this stuff. It's like, I'm here for you, Dick. Like, if you want to phone this interview in, knock yourself out. It's your vessel we're trying to promote. I'm trying to promote you. I'm trying to help you be on the show. But Tom was so good. He would stand there until he knew you had your moment. There's a couple examples of it, but there was once I blew something in front of him. He was being honored, and it was for like some autistic foundation. I forget what the fuck it was, but he was being honored, and I said, oh, wow, it's pretty crazy that Paul Newman's going to be here for you tonight. Like, they did The Color of Money together. I said, that's amazing that, Paul's coming to see you get honored for this. This was in New York, and Paul doesn't live in New York. And he looks at me and he's like, Paul Newman's here? And I'm like, oh, fuck. He's like, I think that was supposed to be a surprise. You blew it, dude. You blew it. And he knew I had my moment. Now, maybe he knew. He's Tom Cruise. He fucking probably knew. But he knew that was going to be my moment. And he sat there and he just, eye to eye. He's giving it to me, but it's with a little like, I got your moment. This is good. And when you're done, he's like, thank you. It always remembers your name. Now, that's one that, like, I could probably run into him at the grocery store. He'd be like, hello, Chris Booker. And you'd be like, how the fuck did he remember my name? I haven't seen him in 15 years. But he's one. He was great. Sharon Stone was another one that was just, I was at dinner one night and I was with some friends. This was at Sundance. So there's there's actors and fucking people everywhere. We're at dinner. And I hadn't even interviewed Sharon at Sundance. I think maybe I just interviewed her in New York or something. And I was at dinner, and there's like, I don't know, like 8 of us around a table. And I'm king of the dipshits at this table. Like I'm the, the talent from the show, and it's probably just producers and whatever. And so Sharon Stone comes walking in, and everybody, it's fucking Sharon Stone. Everybody's like, oh my God, here comes Sharon Stone. You know what I mean? She's walking by the table. and she locks eyes with me, and I'm obviously already fucking staring at her, and she locks eyes with me. She's like, "Oh, hey, Chris," and she comes over like, "How are you?" And she starts talking to me, and my first response is there like somebody she knows named Chris fucking behind me? It's almost like I'm doing one of these, like she can't be talking to me. I don't know her that well. I don't know Sharon Stone, but I've interviewed her a few times, and she sat there and she talked to me. And all my friends, she left. They're like, "Oh my God, you know Sharon Stone?" I'm like, "No." I go, "That's just how good she is." And she's delightful. But yeah, there's good, there's bad, there's ugly. That's
a pretty cool story. I want to end with, I don't talk entertainment on this ever, but I've been obsessed with the Friends reunion. My wife made me watch it. I watched Friends the first probably 2 seasons, not like sit at home and make sure I get home. But it was funny. It made me laugh. Then it became 10 years of a sitcom. But Matthew Perry, I've been just trying to see what happened with him and understand, because I feel so sad because he was so talented and funny. And just watching him on this reunion, I almost didn't want to see him. And on the flip side, I just can't get enough of Joey, Matt LeBlanc, just looking like he doesn't give a shit. And I love that, because they get this young Matt LeBlanc. He looks perfect. He's Hollywood. And now he's like, I got my belly out here. He doesn't give a shit. I loved, I can't get enough of just kind of reading about both sides. I feel terrible for Matthew Perry. I don't know what your thoughts, if you saw the reunion, if you, any thoughts you wanted to give on the things that we've talked about here with Friends.
Couple of things. I thought the episode, or I guess it's just one episode, the special, if you will, on HBO Max was awesome. I had zero expectations because I just want to see a reunion. I'd like to see another episode, see, what they would come up with. So I had no expectations. The bar was on the ground. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was a great watch. I thought it was great TV. I didn't even remember, like the pivot. I don't remember that episode. I was more of I remember loving the show. I just don't remember shit like that. It's disposable TV to me. So it wasn't that special to me. And I know a lot of women, it's like, oh my God, it's like the greatest show that's ever existed. And my girlfriend's got the t-shirt and the whole thing, and she knows every episode. But I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the special. I thought Matt LeBlanc was awesome because he came to play. I thought out of all of the people, he would be the most flippant and say, I'm not really into this. I'm here for the check. But he was. And he articulated himself and his feelings very well, and I thought he was sweet, and I enjoyed how much he came to play. I didn't feel, when talking about Matthew Perry, I didn't really feel sad for the guy. I think he had just had some dental procedure done where his problem speaking wasn't a sobriety thing. It wasn't a slurring thing. It wasn't any problem. I think he had implants just put in. So I think he was having a little problems navigating his mouth a little bit. But I thought there was something really telling that he said when he was talking about how he always had to get the laugh and he never felt good about a scene, or he obsessed over every little thing. And I thought that was, I don't know if it was sad. It bothered me that he didn't know how good that he was. And he was so good. Like his timing was just impeccable on that. All of that. I mean, that's why the show, it's an ensemble greatness. That thing was amazing. That was the only thing that sort of made me sad. Not the way he made $2 million for sitting there for an hour. They're making $20 million a year off syndication deals. They're fine. He's fine. Everybody's fine. I guess he probably had some sort of pill problem or something. I think he's by it. I think he's actually sober now, so good for him. So I didn't feel sadly for him. It just sucks that, you got that show going on, and then everybody's like wondering, is he okay? And he's like, I'm fine. I can't talk now. Yeah, I've had some tough times, but everybody's had some tough times. So
maybe that's what I was sad about, that you had to start wondering, okay, I got to Google what's been wrong with him. I haven't followed him. So when I watched it, I'm like, what the fuck?
No, he was, I'm more sad that people are just thinking things that, about him. But I think he's sober, and he's a talented guy. I hope if he has some sort of battle, I hope he figures it out. They all seemed lovely on the show. Great show. It was fun.
I will say, yeah, as a TV producer and not looking forward at all to watching it, it was fine. There's nothing else on.
There's nothing. Listen, if there's nothing else on, watch the Friends reunion. That's where we are in society. I'm at the end of Netflix. I'm at the end of all of the pay channels. I've seen it all.
That's right.
Mayor of Easttown. I'm watching that now. It's great.
We're going to try that. But what I was going to say is that I like that they tried things. All right, let's do a table read. We'll have them reading the original scripts. We'll have them sit in the actual set. We'll have James Corden. So it's not just 2 hours of,
Yeah.
I thought it was really.
But wasn't it great when they were doing the table reads and just that's when you see how talented someone is when they were, 20 years later doing the table read with almost the same inflection and emotion, and it matched up with the screen and just how they delivered those lines. And it was Kit Harington. Kit Harington that said, was it Kit Harington that was like, these are just words on a page. Like, look at these words on a page, pivot, right. This, that, and him breaking that down for a layman, it's not an actor, breaking down how genius they were by turning just those plain words into something that's just part of Friends vernacular now. It is impressive. And that's what I found so cool about that show.
See, I could join you and Perez Hilton maybe one time. We could. That's the only.
Absolutely.
That's the only thing. But
we hate having. We're one of those shows that should have guests, and we're both so stubborn, and we fucking hate everybody that we just want to talk to one another. Like we just get it. Him and I get in a zone, and we've always said, well, maybe we should bring somebody in. And I think maybe we tried it once before, was like in the very beginning of the podcast, and we fucking hated it. And we're like, let's never do this again. Let's just make it about us, and that's what we're going to do. We'll just tell the stories. We'll dice it up. We'll cut it up, and that's what we do.
Yeah, I make a smidge of money on this, and it's just a bitch to have to beg and plead for people to come on and tell their stories. And so it's more fun just to have someone you can talk to and do. But I don't know who cares about what I'm saying. So I appreciate you coming on because I was just mentioning.
I appreciate you having me. I hope I gave you anything or everything you wanted. I have no idea either way.
Well, how often do you still talk to Howard? How do you get to call him? A lot of people we have here that used to he emails me. Do you get to? Can you pick up the phone and go, "Hey, Howard, it's Book or Boog"?
I like when I get a new job. I'm just Book to him. I'm just Chris to him now. When I get a new job, or if I've got something like if I get fired or something like that, he'll give me a call. But we email. We live 3,000 miles from one another. It's not like. It used to be where, hey, come out to the house for the barbecue or something like that. It's, you don't get to do that anymore. But yeah, we're still friends. And I think he's a radio guy. I think he likes radio guys, Jimmy Kimmel, he's a radio guy, he likes talking radio. And I think he recognizes the struggle because we, working in 55 freaking cities and pulling your family around the country, and it's a drag and it's a grind is what it is. And I think he understands that and has been a champion for radio people.
Any TV gigs for you, or what's anything going on?
I've been doing a show for Access TV, like the top 10s. I'm always on those like VH1. I love the 80s, 90s, Cars.
Great shows. I love, by the way, perfect TV on a Saturday or Sunday, so there's nothing wrong with those. I love those.
Access TV does a lot of those. And we're doing the video version of the podcast. We're only 2 weeks in on that. So that has been interesting because I've went 6 years without actually seeing Perez doing the show. So it's weird seeing someone. It affects your timing and sometimes affects what you say too. When I can't see someone, I think I'm more obnoxious. And now looking at someone, I won't be as obnoxious. So we've got to figure that out. I got to get back to my obnoxious self.
Is there anything I missed that you want to add? I always like to ask. You might be sitting on something that, oh, by the way, I always like to bring that up.
I would say subscribe to the podcast, and I'm on iHeartRadio on Alt 98.7 in Los Angeles. I work at KIOZ, the rock station in San Diego. Check me out. Follow me on social media at Chris Booker.
We will put that in our little description because that's where everybody goes to find all the details. I thank you, sir. I thank you for watching. It's Here's the Pitch with Brad here, sponsored by Masses Restaurants, 5 locations, stlmasses.com. We'll see you next time.